Nima, it'll be great if you could share, the historical trend in EB-5 country-wise, when it boomed in one country, when it, how it changed. It'll be good to know the landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and to build off what Anu said, the EB-5 program was originally a direct investor program. The idea was come to the United States, start a business, hire US workers on W-2s, and we'll give you a green card. And, believe it or not, even 11 years ago when I started, processing times were just a few weeks. So it really had the opportunity to submit a business plan to USCIS for review, come in and follow this American dream of starting your business. Later, it was when the regional center program was established by Congress. And the regional center said, well, if you're actually injecting cash into the US economy, you're creating more jobs than just the W-2s. Because the act of bringing in money, starting a business, creating a supply chain, there's also additional economic effects. And Congress said, let's launch these regional centers. Let's see how they do in sponsoring projects and creating jobs. And then based on how many volume of cases we see, we'll come through and we'll issue new rules. Well, Congress never really did that. So we went from a program that was just, maybe in the hundreds. And then as Anu said, when we saw the economic downturn, really 2015, 16, 17, we went from, hundreds to thousands to, I think at the peak, 17,000 applicants. Of these 17,000 applicants, absolutely dominated by China in the early years, in the mid 2015s, 2016s. Chinese nationals were probably accounting for 80% of all filed applications. And then there would be a competition for second most demand country between India and Vietnam. And then maybe a further down, you had Korea and then Brazil. Thinking historically of immigration patterns, China has always been big business for immigration. Chinese nationals have always looked to secure secondary passport, ways to get money out of the country into stable economies, not just the United States, but also Australia and other neighboring countries. As we move now forward in time, and anybody that's spoken to me that's watching the webinar today, this is going to sound familiar, but come 2022, the passing of the RIA, the first real updated legislation to EB-5, and the ability that was always there for EB-1, EB-2, EB-3 to concurrently file, we went from 90% of our applicants being outside of the United States, in China, in India, in Vietnam, patiently waiting for approval of the application to go to the consulate, to 90% are Indian nationals in the United States, in EB-2, incredibly frustrated by retrogression. I think hopefully the October bulletin was forward, but I believe we're in 2011 right now for Indian nationals, frustrated that their child may have to go through this insane immigration rodeo that we've created for Indian nationals in the United States, frustrated by the constant threat of layoffs from their tech companies that they work for, and really want to secure their own freedom and future in the United States. And so we've seen this gigantic shift from 80% Chinese nationals to, I would say, 50 or so percent now Indian national, with the other half being Chinese national. So even coming up that 30% is a pretty big tectonic shift in EB-5.
Thanks, Nima. Rohit, I've seen you on the ground in India for a decade now. It'll be great if you could just shed light on the growth of EB-5 in India. And, Nima skimmed over some of the motivating factors, but if you could just get into that for us.
Sure. I remember pounding pavement in India back in 2012. And, the discussion of what EB-5 was, nobody really understood, right? So it went from this element of, well, what does this? It sounds too good to be true. You definitely just want my 5 lakh US, and then that's all you're gonna take it away, and who knows where it's gonna go. And you gradually saw the emergence as more and more people started to get in there. A lot more regional centers started to go there. They activated through media publications, interviews, and the like. And soon enough, you started to see more people say, fine, this is definitively a program that we want to do. Now, at the same time, they had to combat this need to want to run their own EB-5 program versus what the regional centers were offering. And that took a few years as well, because there's, again, a great level of suspicion. But I think by and large, the trend started to tick upwards around 2017 when China started to increase, reduce in terms of size and demand. And then we definitely saw a lot more people jumping in. More conferences were being held. In Mumbai, the St. Regis is the EB-5 designated hotel, and that's where everybody goes. I tend to avoid it just for that nature, but if you walk around just in the lobby, you're going to meet someone else that's from a different regional center. But the market has grown, and I think the shift, even now under the new EB-5 program when it took effect, we saw a market uptick in visa demand in the fall, or rather the early winter of 2022, when the big tech layoffs began. And so you saw this upsurge of individuals who said, look, there's too much insecurity. Yes, we were working at a big tech company, but now we realize that maybe that's not necessarily as secure. We want to forge our own path. And now you've seen that huge demand up curve. So definitely those here on H-1B, L1, F1, that is definitely a big demand factor. And then back in India, you're seeing those who are going to be coming down, particularly for the kids that will be coming here in the United States.
Thanks, Rohit.